I am so unbelievably grateful for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I don't think I've ever been more grateful for a movie's existence before in my life. Whenever I think about how bleak the future of animation is, like if it can get even bleaker than it already is right now, I just remind myself of Spider-Verse's existence. And I remind myself of the movies that came out because of Spider-Verse, all of the last wishes and mutant mayhems that came into existence because Spider-Verse wanted to do something different. Spider-Verse wanted to step away from the derivative Disney Pixar style and instead do something completely different from the competition. Spider-Verse has made an impact on animated movie history in the same way Toy Story did in 1995 and in the same way Shrek did in 2001. In fact, I would argue that Spider-Verse is the most influential and important animated movie ever made since Shrek, which came out all the way back in 2001, as stated before. That's not to say that there were no amazing, like, historical animated movies released between Shrek and Into the Spider-Verse, but I'm just saying, Shrek came out and all of a sudden everyone wanted to be like Shrek. For the most part, animated movies played it safe and started, they just tried to be like Disney and Pixar without, taking that risk. Spider-Verse came around in 2018 and decided, no, you can be different. You could do something different from what Disney and Pixar do. It's because of Spider-Verse that these movies exist. And every animation studio wants to join in on this trend that Spider-Verse started, except for Disney and Pixar. Why they don't want to join in doesn't make any sense to me at all, as Disney continues to desecrate both their library of animated movies and the entire art of animation by making these soulless live-action remakes of their animated movies. Other animation studios are showing that they do indeed care about animation, and it's all because of Spider-Verse. The inevitable fact that the Little Mermaid remake will make more money at the box office than Across the Spider-Verse hurts me like you have no idea. The idea that more people would rather watch a nostalgia cash grab, an inferior version of a movie that they watched as a kid, over this, it hurts me. And the largely positive reception that this movie is somehow getting, it makes that even worse for me. I had no intention to ever watch this movie, and I tried my absolute hardest to convince my mother not to take my sister to see it. So there's a friend of my mother's that has a daughter, and she wanted to go see the movie for her birthday, and she wanted my mother and my little sister to see it as well. And I really tried talking them out of it because I didn't want them to keep supporting these garbage remakes and just, keep fueling the fire and having more of these movies get made. But unfortunately, I failed. My attempts failed, and eventually I decided, you know what, it, I might as well watch it as well. So if Disney in the next coming days announces a live-action remake of Encanto, just know that it's partially my fault. I am so sorry, everyone. I really am. I can also safely say that it was not worth it at all because The Little Mermaid is one of the most boring movies I've ever seen in my entire life. When it became obvious that my parents were going to see the movie no matter what I did grow that curiosity of how bad could the movie be. I really went into it thinking it would be like an offensively bad movie, and I left disappointed. I was bored out of my mind watching this movie. The only things that helped me keep my sanity was the slightly stale popcorn and the soda that I think my mom forgot to put ice into it because it felt very, warm. I want to say as well that I don't care that Ariel's black. I'm not saying that, as a negative thing. It does nothing to me. Ariel being black doesn't make the movie better, and it doesn't make the movie worse. It does nothing. Ariel could have been played by a white actress and the movie still would have been trash. It doesn't matter to me at all. If anything, I'm more offended at the fact that her hair isn't blood red like in the original, but even then, that is a really minor, insignificant thing, and obviously I'm not gonna say that's the only reason this movie is bad, because it's such an insignificant thing to talk about. I also want to say as well that I have seen the original animated movie, but I watched it when I was really young and I could not tell you what happens in it at all, so I'm not going to be bringing it up, you know, just so I can, you know, hate the movie. I went into the movie blind, basically. I think it's easier for me to just say that I've never seen the original movie, because I genuinely have, like, no memories of it at all. So I'm not going to try and do some stupid thing where I compare the original movie to the live-action remake or anything like that, because there's no point at all. I'm not even going to bother to try and explain what happens in this movie, because number one, I barely remember what happens in this movie. This movie is so unbelievably boring that I've just forgotten 98% of what happens in it. And number two, chances are you've watched the original movie, and listen, if you've watched the original movie, you've basically watched this movie as well. There's no point at all in talking about it, honestly. This movie is fine, the acting is fine, the songs are fine, everything is whatever. There's nothing to say about it at all. It's just boring and soulless. And I realize now that's the main problem with these live action remakes. It's one thing if they were like offensively bad, like at least then I could have something to say about them. But they're just so devoid of life. They're just nothing to them at all. They're just boring, which is like the worst thing a bad movie can be. Like, there's a reason why we love movies like The Room, because The Room is funny in its badness. I don't think I've ever seen a single person say like, I hate The Room, as in like they get genuinely angry when they think about it. It's like, oh, I hate The Room, it's so awful. Everyone I've seen online says that The Room is a bad movie, but it's so awful in how it's executed. It ends up being a masterpiece. The Room is meant to be this drama, and it ends up being an unintentional comedy, you know? It's the same thing with Birdemic. Birdemic is meant to be like a horror movie about evil birds. It ends up being an unintentional comedy. The live-action Disney remakes are not like that at all. They're not so bad it's good. There's nothing interesting to say about them. They're not even like offensively bad either, you know? They're not like they make you feel a severely like negative emotion when you watch them. You feel emotionless watching these movies because of how devoid of life they are. And Little Mermaid is no exception to this. Like, look at how colorful, like, the character designs in the original were. Look at, like, you know, look at Sebastian and Flounder in the original, and then you look in the live-action remake, like, what is this, bro? What is this? They have to make everything look realistic and accurate, not knowing that by doing that, you're sacrificing the soul, the life, the charm that the original character designs had. You know, the personality is gone. And then you realize another problem that these live-action Disney remakes have. This criticism of having, you know, realistic, soulless-looking character designs, exact same thing could be said about Lion King 2019. You know, like, these movies are bad for the same reasons. There's no uniquely bad Disney remake. They're all bad for the same reasons. Whatever negative thing you can say about Little Mermaid 2023, you can apply it to Lion King 2019. Whatever negative thing you could say about Lion King 2019, you could apply it to Aladdin 2019. Whatever negative thing you say about Aladdin 2019, you can apply it to Beauty and the Beast 2017, and so on and so on. There's no, like, you know, unique bad movie. They're all bad for the exact same reasons. You watch one live-action Disney remake, you've essentially watched all of them, and it just never f***ing ends. It never stops. We got Snow White next. That's coming out next year. That's the next one. I can't wait for that to rake in billions and billions of dollars at the box office. You know, I have like a huge like thing against Disney, but I gotta like, you know, put mad respect. I cannot deny that like the original Snow White is like, you know, pretty important to animation history. I can't deny it. First animated movie ever made, you know? I can't even imagine the time spent working on this movie. Like, this isn't just some small like 2-minute Mickey Mouse short. This is like a full-length feature film. This was like a big thing, and I can't even imagine how hard it must have been to make this movie. In 1937, it was the first of its kind. Of course, it would have been like a nightmare to create. And then Disney's just gonna look at that and they're gonna be like, nope, let's just, you know, desecrate that by making this. by making a live action remake. All the hard work and effort and whatever that went into the original movie, yeah, no, let's just throw that in the trash by making this live action Moana remake, which is still like the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I cannot believe that they actually greenlit this and they thought that this was an okay idea. Let's remake a movie that isn't even 10 years old yet. Moana came out in 2016. They announced a live action remake in 2023. That's 7 years. If you apply this same 7-year time frame to older Disney movies, then The Little Mermaid would have gotten a live-action remake announced in 1996, Beauty and the Beast would have gotten one in 1998, Aladdin would have gotten one in 1999, The Lion King would have gotten one in 2001, Hercules would have gotten one in 2004, Mulan would have gotten one in 2005, and Tarzan would have gotten one in 2006. Do you see the problem now? This is the most idiotic thing ever. This is the most creatively bankrupt thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. I understand that this video is just me generally talking about the live action remakes and not Little Mermaid specifically, but again, there's nothing that I can say about this movie that hasn't been already said for like Lion King 2019 or Beauty and the Beast 2017, you know? You watch one live action Disney remake, you've watched all of them basically. There's no like unique exclusive reason as to why Little Mermaid is bad. Well, there's one reason actually. There is an original song that's new to this movie. It might be the worst song ever made. It is the only thing that I remember from this movie. I'm sure most of you know about it as it's gotten quite infamous lately, but the Scuttlebutt. Now, obviously, because of copyright reasons, I can't actually play the song, but I can assure you it might be the worst song ever made, you know? And the thing is, most of the other songs, like the already existing songs from the original movie, like Under the Sea and Part of Your World and whatever, like, they're fine. Like, the new renditions, they're perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. This one song might genuinely be, like, the worst thing ever made, though. Having this song juxtaposed alongside Part of Your World is the most insane thing, for real. Dude, when I watched this scene in theaters, I started cringing so immensely. Like, there were a few people that were laughing about it. Like, I think I saw my sister laughing at it, and I'm so tired, you know? I'm so tired. I can't wait for this song to become, like, the new, like, hot Disney TikTok trend, you know? I can't wait for this to become the next Let It Go, the next We Don't Talk About Bruno. All the radio stations in the world are going to be playing the Scuttlebutt. That's going to be the new viral TikTok trend. Imagine being like a parent, like a mom or a dad or whatever, and you're trying to do like your work, you're trying to do taxes or whatever, and you're like really stressed out from the work, and then in the other room, you just hear your kids blasting this song out loud on the speakers. You know, it's a nightmare. Imagine buying the soundtrack for this movie and Scuttlebutt is their favorite song, and every single day they play it out loud, and it gets extremely annoying when you're trying to do like work, when you're trying to do taxes or whatever, and you're just stressed out and you just want peace, relaxation, whatever, you know? Oh my god, you know, I can't even imagine what would happen when this movie comes out on Disney Plus or on home media, like on DVD or Blu-ray. Imagine buying the Blu-ray for this movie and you are forced to hear this scene that it's from on repeat. Your kids are just rewinding back to that one part and they're dancing to it, and it's the funniest thing to them, and you're just, my god, you know? Eventually you become one with the Scuttlebutt, and you realize then that the Scuttlebutt might actually be the greatest song ever made, the greatest piece of music ever composed, you know? Why waste your time listening to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, or The Dark Side of the Moon, or The Velvet Underground and Nico, or any of these other garbage albums, when you could be listening to a true masterpiece like the Scuttlebutt? The Scuttlebutt is real music right there. That's what the good stuff is. My god. You know, I remember back in like 2011 when I was a dumb little kid and I thought like Friday by Rebecca Black and Baby by Justin Bieber were like the worst songs ever, you know? and I want to go back to those days because I had no idea how much worse things would get. I'd advise you to not watch this movie. If you feel nostalgic for the original movie, then just fucking watch the original movie. Why would you watch an inferior version of your childhood movie? Or better yet, save your money, watch Spider-Verse. That's cinema right there. That's the good stuff right there. Across the Spider-Verse, it's getting amazing reviews, and it's giving me that hope again that animation is not dead. I can only pray that this movie makes more money at the box office than Little Mermaid. I can only pray. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to like, and if you're new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing, as it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and I will see you all next time. Adios.
Well, just listen some passion, I got the Scuttlebutt.